Hello and welcome to Oak Road Hatters Put in the Mixer, the only analytics show focusing solely on Luton Town Football Club. I'm your maitre d', Ollie K, and today I'm bringing you a main course which brings you all your recommended daily allowance of analytics. That's Andy Burgess. How are you getting on, Burge?
I'm very well, thank you, Ollie. Good to be here. Looking forward to dissecting the last couple of Town games.
Yeah, it's two good games to sink our teeth into. Especially we might as well kick it off straight into the Millwall game, which was riddled with goalkeeping mistakes and controversy, but ultimately the good guys got what they deserved at the end, a point for a nice 2-2 draw against a fellow playoff contender who were in good form. So we might as well start right at the very beginning. Zion Fleming, I believe he's Dutch, and he's on fire. He fired Millwall ahead in the 4th minute.
He did, and it was a dreadful start, and one that we're perhaps not that used to really this season, and conceding this type of goal. And obviously, Horvath has had lots and lots of clean sheets, had lots of made some really good saves at times, and this was, you have to say this was sort of out of character. But if we have a little look at it, obviously, I think here Osho's got himself in a terrible position. It looks more like the Millwall player's a centre half and he's a centre forward. I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to do. It's nodded down, and you have to say it's just a goalkeeping error. He's got full view of the ball. He'll do that. He must have done it probably 50 times in a warm up. He'll do it 150, 250 times a day in training. And I think he's just lost concentration. I think it looks like right at the end, right at the last minute, he's taken his eye off the ball, and I think he's probably thinking, "Can I distribute this? Can we counter?" Again, you have to say that it's out of character. But the disappointing thing, I think, would be the first ball. If we just see it again, and again, I don't know what Osho's thinking. Whether he's misread the flight, whether it's early on, and I don't know, just not got his bearings. But he's got himself in a dreadful position. A decent header down. Maybe you'd say I think it's Drame who could have maybe got out to the ball a bit quicker and blocked a shot if we're being ultra critical. But really and truthfully, I think Horvath has to hold his hands up to that one and say, he had to do better. And I'm sure him and Pilks and Kevin Dearden will be disappointed with that one and quickly move on from it.
Yeah, it was one of those where we were frantically messaging each other in the WhatsApp group. You could see he couldn't believe it himself that he'd allowed that to go in. Who would be a goalkeeper? It's
exactly.
It's not like you have anyone that can bail you out. Pretty much, it's just you standing there protecting that big old goal. But it's about getting his head back in the game and making sure that I believe you said it best, getting your head back in the game and making sure that your team can get you out of the proverbial, I don't want to swear on this, but the proverbial poo.
Yes, absolutely.
It just went from bad to worse, and in a game that we were dominating, I would say, in my incredibly biased view, but I'm happy to say it. We went in 1-0 down, and then we come out, and up pops Tom Bradshaw, a man in form, in the 52nd minute, and scores a controversial goal.
Yes, I think you have to look at, from a Millwall point of view, I think they'd say, they scored after 4 minutes of the first half. They scored after 6 minutes of the second half, whilst we had 1 or 2 penalty shouts in the first half. Osho and Jordan Clark come to mind. A few other decisions that you might question. I think from a Millwall point of view, you'd have to say that they were playing a perfect away game, a little bit smash and grab, but sitting in a little bit and defending. And then can they nick a goal on the break? Can they nick a goal at key times? And you have to say that coming out for the second half, everyone's looking at Luton being in the ascendancy and going to get that equaliser. And controversial because we've seen the angle a number of times. A number of people have put it on Twitter and social media that he is offside. But it is fractional. It is really, really fractional, and it is a tight decision. So I do think that, yes, it's offside and it shouldn't have been allowed, obviously. But I think there'll be one or two things that we could perhaps have done a little bit better. And I think communication comes into it here. Listen, Drama's attacking. He's got himself back in, and we've got a decent shape here. For me, I think if Pelly talks to Drama a bit better here, then I think Drama can stay with the runner, and Pelly doesn't have to vacate that space. And what happens is, because Pelly goes with the runner on the outside, obviously Nakamba comes across and he's just gets there too late. It takes a little deflection, little flick. Lockyer and Bell are playing offsides. I don't particularly like seeing that. I'd rather them just get in and defend. Osho as well has switched off and allowed Bradshaw to run off him 2 yards, and they're appealing. Listen, I get it. I get putting your hands up. I get appealing. At the end of the day, he is offside. But at the same time, there is no VAR to draw a line, so that's not going to save you. It is human error. It is fractional. It's a tight decision. And I'm not definitely 100% not one to stick up for officials. But I think you've got to play. Listen, it's old school. You've got to play to the whistle. You've got to do your job. And I just think that as a player, again, there's a couple of issues here. Again, as you see, I think if Pelly stays central and allows Drame to go with the runner on the outside, it doesn't open up the space for the shot. Maybe Nakamba can react a little bit quicker to Pelly going with the runner on the outside and get across a bit quicker. But in fairness, he does try. And then when the shot comes in and it takes a lucky ricochet, obviously, from a Millwall point of view, then I think we have to react and we have to play on. And yes, we get back in, but if you can see Lockyer and Bell are both appealing, are both sort of half-heartedly making that run back across the 6-yard box. If they get in and Osho stays switched on, Bradshaw's a yard and a half away from Osho when he taps it in. So I think all three of them then are probably culpable of hoping the flag goes up, where I think if they play to the whistle, obviously putting your hand up in the air, you're trying to influence the linesman. You're trying to get into his head and trying to make him make a decision. But not very often do they change their mind. And obviously the rule or the instruction that linesmen get at the moment, or the assistant referee get at the moment, is to play on that little bit longer and wait a little bit longer to put the flag up. So maybe they were looking at that and hoping that was going to happen. But again, it's fine margins. But I just think if we defended that a little bit more urgently and properly, when the ricochet comes in, we could probably get across that near post and cut the cross out.
Yeah, it's frustrating from a point of view, from someone that's never played the game at a professional level. And you see that the hands go up, and as you say, trying to force the linesman to make a decision. If they hadn't done that, because I have no clue about the actual dimensions of a pitch when you're standing on it. If they hadn't done that and they just continued their runs, would they have been able to have cut out that cross from Honeyman?
I think they'd have. I think when you put your hand up, you're in the mindset that you're hoping the linesman's going to put the flag up. If you don't, and if Bell and Lockyer had switched, followed the ball, turned around and sprinted back to goal and cut that near post off, I think they'd have been focused on that. As it was, I think they both generally think, and they both were generally aware that he was offside, and were probably thought the linesman were going to put his flag up. So I just think they've just switched off, and they've just put their faith in the fact that he was offside. And again, he was. So you could argue their point absolutely till you blew in the face. But at the end of the day, the linesman didn't put his flag up, so he wasn't offside. So I just think that okay, I get if they hadn't got their hands up in the air, would they have got there? I think they perhaps would have put another half yard on their run and maybe been able to slide to block it. Even maybe Lockyer, because he was a bit further away and saw it from a bit further distance, so gave himself a chance to slide. I just think they would have given themselves maybe the opportunity to get back in. But listen, again, we don't know. Maybe they wouldn't have done, but it just looks to me like they're turned around, they put their hand up in the air, and they're hoping and praying and wishing that the linesman's flag goes up. And it doesn't. And obviously, it's a good cross in the end because he's not got a big area to aim for. And our show really, again, has got to follow Bradshaw into that back post and try and get a tackle in and stop the striker from putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's that old adage. You got to just play to the whistle.
It is, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it will all level out next year when we're in the Premier League and we have VAR to help us out of those sticky situations. But we got back into the game from courtesy of a very tidy finish from Elijah Adebayo after significant pressure from us, and it only took us, say, 6 minutes to get back into the game. And as you say, it was and we discussed it on the group. You said it was a very underrated finish.
I think so, and I think, as you just alluded to there, it was important that we didn't go a long period without getting the first goal back, because I think the crowd would have got that little bit more anxious, and the team probably would have been trying things unnatural to us, and we would have gone perhaps a little bit too direct too quickly at times, or tried to score a goal in a different way than what we're good at scoring a goal in. But yeah, I think, as I said on the group, I think the finish is massively underrated. I think it's a really, really difficult finish. It looks easy because it's 2 yards out, but I think if you look at the angle, we will in a sec, look at the angle, you look at the way the ball comes to him, you look at the speed the ball comes to him, I think it's a fabulous finish. And the build-up's decent. I think from a Millwall point of view, I think Gary Rowett would be absolutely fuming with that setup. That is far too easy. From a Luton point of view, it's great. Then we've got runners beyond, runners in support. We always talk about runners, people who are prepared to go and run past defenders, people that are prepared to go and support the ball. And it's Bell on this occasion. Now, when you get into this position, what quality have you got? And yes, it takes a slight deflection, but it's another magnificent cross and another great area. And by the way, this is wing back to wing back. And look where they are. Look where Drama is coming into that far stick. That's both our wing backs in the penalty area. I'm not sure that would have happened too much under Nathan. I think a Rob Edwards, something we've seen under Rob Edwards is people committing to get forward quick more, especially wing backs, and play higher up the pitch, because that is, you see Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, even though they play fullbacks and not wing backs, but the way Liverpool play, that's where you see them. And Bell getting into that area and Drame getting into that area, it's fantastic to see. And those opportunities don't come. It's not a lofted cross, it's not a looping cross from Bell, so it's not like he's had time to make up that ground. He's in there to score goals, and we'll see the Millwall, the Swansea goal in a bit. That comes from Drame in the far stick as well. But as I say, if we look at it again, Luton have got good numbers, but Millwall again, poor defensively for my money. You look at that, probably that setup should be, maybe, although that's Doherty and Bell driving forward. Again, I think Bell was left-sided centre-half at that point. I might be wrong, but if Doherty's there, I'm thinking Bell probably was playing left-sided centre-half. I can't think off the top of my head. And if that is the case, that's a centre-back and a wing-back high up the pitch. Again, great ball in. I've got to say, it's a magnificent save in the first instance from the finish from Drame. A fabulous save onto the post. But if we look at it again, and as I mentioned, the technique, I think that's really difficult. It looks easy, but the way his body is and the angle he's in, he's got to lift it. He's still got to, if he goes into the ground, he could hit the Millwall player sliding. So I think it's a really smart and underrated finish from Elijah Adebayo. And it came at a really key time, because we couldn't. Again, if we'd have left it much longer, if we'd got into 65, 70 minutes and hadn't got the goal back, then I think it becomes a little bit panic stations. I think the crowd get a little bit panicky. It's on telly, etc., and it becomes a little bit difficult. But got our noses back into it and gave us a chance of earning a point.
Yeah, there was so much that you picked up from that goal. Drame running in like a steam train. That's full commitment to sweep up any loose balls. And yeah, Bell, who was playing left centre back, it's amazing. Like the positioning inside, well, with the underlapping run, with Doughty stretching play out to the left. It's just fantastic. And fair play to Elijah for, as you say, being switched on and the anticipation of where the ball was going to drop and the finish as well. After a couple of games where he's missed a few sitters, like maybe the ball fall into him nicely.
So I think put that into the mix as well with how difficult the finish is. I think it becomes, it's an easy one to miss. I know he's not far out, but it becomes an easy one to miss. And I missed an important point there. Sorry to cut you off, Ollie, but just an important point. The fact that Bell was playing left-sided centre-half. I had it in my head he was left wing-back, but seeing Doughty there, that for me is even better, because not only are we committing our left wing-back forward who's taken the throw and got beyond the centre-forward, our left-sided centre-half's doing that as well now. So that's even more of what I'm saying about Rob Edwards allowing. We've seen Burke do it on so many occasions. Maybe not Potts, but we saw Bree do it on occasions, going really supporting and creating that overload down the sides, where you've got a centre forward, you've got a left wing back and a left centre half and the left sided midfielder, creating that overload to either create an opportunity to cross and score a goal, or get the opposition out to one side, get it out the other side, and go and attack the ball. So I think it's fantastic to see. I really do.
Yeah, it's a position under Rob Edwards that requires a high level of athleticism. And even playing three at the back with Nathan Jones. Did we see that from the wide centre backs under Nathan Jones? No, I would say no. Like, what's your opinion?
No, I don't think we did. I don't think we did. Definitely not as much. I don't remember seeing Burke as high as we've seen Burke at times. I think Bree did when he played right centre, but I think that's because because of he's a fullback and he went and joined in at times. But no, I definitely don't. I don't think Bell makes that run under Nathan Jones. And it's not criticism of Nathan Jones. He played a different way. Same system in terms of shape and formation. But I think Edwards has just taken the shackles off a little bit of players supporting and players coming from deep and running beyond. And it's given us a new dimension, because that goal there comes from our left side centre back being in the penalty box from not open play. It came from a throw in, but it was open play. It wasn't a free kick. It wasn't a set piece per se. So yeah, I think that is definitely the evolution of the team as a Rob Edwards team. And I think the players are perfect for it. I like Bell as a left-sided centre half. I've spoken previously about the defensive questions there sometimes are about him playing there, because he's not that natural defender. But from an offensive point of view, I'm all for us playing like Kevin Keegan and scoring 6 if we concede 5.
Oh yeah, we're still waiting to score 6, aren't we? Well, maybe it'll happen in April 1st.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I feel like some team is due for a good old hiding. It's coming.
So.
Yeah. And never apologize for cutting me off. This is the Andy Burgess analytical show. I'm just the maitre d'. I'm here to facilitate and edit the video afterwards.
You're here for the eye candy.
Exactly. Yeah. One at a time, please. So we were well on top for I'd say the final third of that match. Dominated possession. The final stats for that were 62% Luton, 38% Millwall. As you say, it was a classic away performance from Millwall. Gritty. They tried, but they sort of led to their own undoing, I would say, by Rowett going a bit negative with the substitutions, whereas Edwards went very positive with the substitutions. And he brought on in the 72nd minute Luke Berry. And then in the 87th minute, Luke Berry does what he does best. He popped up and scored a late goal.
He did. And just to, I put a comment on Twitter when it happened about it being Luke Berry and not Allan Campbell. But that wasn't, and I've read the tweet 500 times. There was nowhere in there suggested that it shouldn't be Luke Berry instead of Allan Campbell. I think it just, for me, it told a little bit of a story about the situation with Allan Campbell. Okay, so he started on Saturday against Swansea, so maybe we are reading too much into it. But I just think there's three. If I might just go on to the Allan Campbell while we're on this subject, I think there's three ways of looking at it. One, I think if a player, and there's been a lot said about when Berry scored the goal about Allan Campbell not celebrating, and I get it and I don't get it. You get two types of players. You get players who are like Luke Berry and has said in the press, he just wants to help and wants people to wants Luton to win, and which is fantastic and great. And from a supporter, you're always going to love that. You're always going to love that because the player's talking about loving the club, and Luke Berry's been with us a long time, and I'm sure he has got a deep affection for the football club. Allan Campbell, not so long, and hasn't been part of the promotions or the story. Yes, he was a big part of where we got to last season, but we don't really know their characters. And Allan Campbell, I don't think him not celebrating Luke Berry's goal is Allan Campbell not caring about the football club. I think it's just a frustration. I think it's just a disappointment, which I don't think is a bad thing because he wants to play. And I think the difference for me is that I think Allan Campbell, because of the way he played last season and because of the performance he's put in a long times of this season, and because he's become a Scottish international in the last year, and because I'm not talking about him thinking he has to play or should play every week, but I just think he will look at it and think, and he will look at the midfield and he will think, I should be playing. And I think that's the little bit of a difference where maybe Luke Berry won't maybe think that. I don't know. He probably does think, Luke Berry probably does think I should be playing because every footballer probably thinks they should be. But I just think Allan Campbell will feel that his performances. I've seen most games this season and last season, and for me, I just think he adds to us and he improves us in midfield. And I think we have been performing well in midfield and all over as a team. So I'm not digging anybody out. I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't be deserving of an opportunity. And I do get the freshness and things like that. And obviously he showed Saturday, Edwards, that he took Pelly out and put Allan Campbell in. And I just feel that Allan Campbell has probably got a little bit of a justification for thinking he maybe should be in the team, and I think we're better with him in the team. And I think he showed Saturday, and I didn't see the game Saturday because I was at a game, but I've seen clips, and I think he wins the ball back high up the pitch, and I think he counter presses and he presses and he harries and he gets us on that front foot, and he gets very, very close and between Elijah and Colton, and I think that adds to us as a team. But that's just my thoughts on Allan Campbell and why, for me, he should be in the team. But that, again, we go back to the Millwall goal and Allan and Luke Berry. Listen, he's a goal-scoring central midfielder. He knows how to score goals. He knows how to come into games and make an impact. And he did that with a vengeance. Oh, showing the wrong goal. Sorry, go back. And the camera picks it up, plays it simple. Now this is real clever from you. See Woodrow goes off at a slight angle. You've got Berry and Woodrow in really good position between lines. Now it's about, can Clark break those lines or break that line? And he does brilliantly. But then it's the take and the finish from Luke Berry, which he has to do in 2 touches. He has to bang, bang, because he's getting closed down otherwise. And that opportunity to finish isn't happening. So for me, Woodrow and Berry, real cleverness to get between the 3 central midfielders of Millwall, and between the units of their back four and their midfield. And then, like I said, we're asking the question of Jordan Clark. It's poor from Millwall again, I have to say. No pressure on Clark, 2-1 up. Someone's got to come and press this ball. They're edge of the box. They're sitting back. But brilliant, absolute brilliance from Luke Berry in terms of the first touch. And then he knows exactly what he wants to do. Quick look up. Again, it's not, I think we said this about Pelleg's goal the other week. It's not the most cleanest of strikes with his left foot, but it's all about the accuracy. And the accuracy gives the goalkeeper absolutely no chance. And I don't think there's any Luton supporter out there that would begrudge Luke Berry coming off the bench and scoring those type of goals and that goal, because he's been such a huge player for us and scored such fabulous goals in terms of timing in games. That there's a knack, I think, to when Luke Berry scores goals. And Rob Edwards, you have to say, got that substitution absolutely correct. And everybody, I'm sure, gave Luke a huge pat on the back. And I'm sure that's not the last time he'll come into a game and impact off the bench. And it's great to see, and it's great to have that depth and that, because Luke Berry hasn't been involved a huge amount over this season. I don't know his stats, but he hasn't played anywhere near the amount of games he'll want to play. I know he's had some knocks, but to be able to call upon someone like that, ahead of other players who have come into games off the bench, is a brilliant tool to have in our toolbox. So long may that continue.
Yeah, Luke Berry hasn't played many games this season. He's played a part in 12 games for a total of 257 minutes, scoring 3 goals, 3 vital goals. Off the top of my head is that goal against Millwall, the equaliser against Rotherham, and the winner against Blackpool. So 3 very vital goals, averaging a goal every 85 minutes, which is
superb,
what you get from Luke Berry. Yeah, it's a superb ratio for a central midfielder, and it's great to hear from his press that he did after the game that he feels that, of course, he wants to be playing every game, but he's happy in the role that he is playing. And yeah, I saw your tweets about Allan Campbell versus Luke Berry. I believe, regardless of what people say on social media, in contra to what you said, a lot of fans were calling for Allan Campbell to come off the bench. Although Luke Berry, he does give you that slight X factor. He's more of he can find those pockets, whereas Allan Campbell gives you that energy. Luke Berry finds those pockets, and he is the goal scorer. And also from that goal that you showed, it was an excellent pass selection from choice of pass from Jordan Clark, because he had 2 passes on. He had Woodrow and he had Berry, and he made the right choice. And just a little tangent, he signed a new contract today, which is fantastic. What were your opinions on Jordan Clark? Because you haven't talked about him enough on the pod, because he's so fantastic.
No, I think he's the player of the season. I do. I think he's been our best player. He's been our most consistent player. I think Lockie has been very, very good. But I just think he gives you so much energy. The old saying that he covers every blade of grass is just made for him. But he does it with thought. He does it with quality. He makes clever runs. He always seems to be there. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time. I remember watching, probably, I don't know, how old are you, Ollie?
I'm 34. I had to think about that.
Yeah, well, you might remember Lee Hendry playing for Aston Villa. I remember watching him in a reserve game when I was about 19. I actually went with Terry Wesley to watch Aston Villa reserves, and he played, and he was unbelievable in his running. He just ran, but the runs were so clever and so bright, and pulled the opposition about and moved them about. And 100%, if you're an opposition player playing against Jordan Clark and Allan Campbell, and this is why I like the two of them, because I think they dovetail well off each other. You're going to bed at 6 o'clock the night before, because you've got to run for 97 minutes further than you've ever run anywhere before. You've got to track run after run after run. You're being tracked run after run after run. You're not and the fact that he came to us, and I was working at Accrington in full time in the academy when Luton took him, and I'd seen him in training a lot. And Luton, we tried to buy him off. Luton tried to buy him off Accrington. I think we offered money for him before we signed him on a free transfer, and Accrington turned it down. And so to get him on a free, he actually's got the same agent that took me to Luton as well, Phil Corkland, which is an interesting story. Jordan's obviously been a little bit more successful than I was, but only a little bit.
Phil Corkland has an eye for talent.
Well, I don't know about that, yeah. But yeah, no, listen, he's been absolutely phenomenal. As I say, for me, he's been our best player this season. And again, the fact he came as a right winger, he's become one of the best central midfielders without a shadow of a doubt in the Championship. And do you know what? If he could go on to play in the Premier League for Luton Town, it would be I think we took him on a free transfer, on a short-term contract initially as well. I think it was a 6-month contract, the first one he signed at the club. So for me, it's a fantastic story. He looks like a great lad. He looks like a great personality as well. Somebody who comes in, rolls his sleeves up, works his socks off. I think he played previously with Rob Edwards as well, which means there's not obviously, but means I'm sure there's a decent relationship with them too. I know he's been captain under Rob Edwards as well, which speaks volumes. So, yeah, I just think I could do a podcast on his clips and his performances and what he brings to the team. And again, long may that continue.
Yeah, that's a good idea for the off season when there's no football. Just an entire podcast dedicated to Jordan Clark when he wins Player of the Year and leads us to promotion. Yeah, we'll put it in the diary. So moving on to the Luton Swansea game, the standout thing for me in this was Swansea dominate possession. They've averaged 65% possession throughout the season. Russell Martin has his ideology, the way he wants to play, and in this game we pressed them so high we didn't let them get that level of possession that they routinely enjoy in games, like going as high as 75%. Normally in games against opposition that are happy to stand off, we limited them to 58% possession, which I found was very good because it meant we took the game to them. I wouldn't say they took the game to us. They were busy time wasting in the first 10 minutes, which was hilarious, with their fans keeping the ball away from their own goalkeeper. And then they were time wasting when they were 1-0 down. It was very strange tactically from them. But overall in this game, the amount that we created, and it goes back to what I was saying before, that there is a team that is going to get a right old hiding from us soon. It's coming. It really is. But before we go on to all the chances that we created, we should have a look at Carlton Morris notching his 14th for the season, and what a signing he's been. We talked about him before.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, as I mentioned, I was at Wigan v Birmingham, so I didn't get to watch the game. It's one of the few ones I've missed. But obviously, looking back and doing some research on it, it looks, as you say, like we dominated not necessarily dominated, but created a lot of chances, and I think that's been a theme. And again, we'll go through it. But again, it's Carlton Morris, as you say, a fantastic sign. Again, across from Doherty, left wing back to right wing back. the coverage in the box. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in the box, keeps it alive, react first. Then this is the clever bit for me. Allan Campbell, as we mentioned, he could pass it to Dougherty's feet. I think that would probably be what a lot of players would do. But this weight of pass and to allow him to come onto it and make that first time cross creates the goal for me. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players, 6 players, 5 players in the penalty box and 2 on the ring. And Morris is alive there to tap it in. But I think, again, and that, I believe that the 22 was giving Elijah a little bit of stick through the game. So that the fact that his mate's got his back by just giving him a little bump shows the camaraderie and shows that they've got each other's backs. But I think this goal epitomises what we've seen a lot in much of our season is filling the box, is wing backs is high, especially under Edwards, is keeping things alive, keeping things in and around the box. Again, you look at the bodies. I always think it's important that you don't just commit the players in the box, but you're ready for what comes out. You can see 3 players there. One just gone out of screen. Again, it's a fantastic ball from Campbell. Puts it into air. Okay, I think the keeper fumbles it a little bit, and it comes to keeper fumbles it, and it comes a tap in for Morris. Gary Lineker made a career of that. One of the greatest strikers ever for England, and he'll love that as much as he loved the one they hit in that goal from 25, 30 yards out a few weeks ago. But there's lots to like about that goal, and it looks a simple tap-in, but cleverness from Campbell, commitment, and the positioning and the mentality of the wing backs, of the midfielders to get into the box, of the players to be aware and be alive on the edge. Really, it's just, for me, it's so much more than just a 1 yard tap-in, and it goes and wins you the game. And as I say, we'll have a look at a lot of chances that we created on top of that in a moment. But I'm not sure that he'll score a simpler tap-in, Carlton Morris, this season, but it's exactly the same as the other 13.
Yeah, that the XG on that tap-in was 0.96. To put that into context, a penalty is 0.70. Mm-hmm. So that chance was pretty much as good as a goal. That means in 1,000 scenarios, 960 times out of those 1,000, it's put away. I feel bad for the 40 that missed them, though.
Yeah. No, that would be a hell of a miss. That.
But balloon over the bar. I think that I've seen Choupo-Moting missed one like a couple of seasons back where he was like pretty much on the goal line and he managed to bend it around the post. It happens, it does happen. But the numbers from that game, we're going to have a look at some of these chances. We got a big video clip coming up of all the chances. So it was 17 shots in total.
I think these are probably the best opportunities, and I think there's 10 of these chances. And I just let them play, and they're just, that's keepers under pressure, but it's a header in the 6 yard box from a set piece. I think we worried, and I was probably one of them, worried about our set pieces coming in after Bree moved on. But in fairness, Dougherty and Clark and 1 or 2 others have really stepped up with decent quality. And I think the thing with these clips is they're all sort of similar in terms of you can see it's us and how we want to play, and there's crosses coming in the box, but they're all different, if that makes sort of sense. They're all different types of opportunities, different types of chances created, but you can see what we're trying to do every time. You can see what we're trying to achieve. A lot of them are from wide areas. A lot of them are committing players forward. There's an inside channel run there, which happens a lot from Jordan Clark. And supporting overload. Nothing wrong with this from Gabe Osho, I don't think. Obviously we'd like to see it fly in the top corner. But again, that's your right-sided centre-half in the penalty area having a shot. It just... When the percentages of those opportunities and them chances are high, you're going to score more goals. Again, another corner, great area. If that was James Bree taking that, you wouldn't be surprised, and it clips the top of the bar. Again, another corner. I think this one's Doherty. Fantastic. Again, that's as good as what James Bree put in, and that could be a goal. Simple as that. So you just have to say that the quality coming in from wide areas and the amount of goals we've scored from crosses recently, and the amount of chances we create in terms of crosses, again, and it's not just wing backs crossing it. This is Jordan Clark going down the outside and creating opportunity. So it's midfielders, it's centre. You've got midfielders, you've got centre backs, and you've got wing backs all getting down wide areas, either getting in half spaces or getting into wide areas and getting crosses into the box. And when you've got, and I keep saying it, when you've got two centre forwards like we've got, then they need crosses. Again, that was an example of Campbell sniffing around, ratting around, being on the front foot and getting us on top of their goal, high up the pitch, winning the ball back. But again, it's another wide. It's a wing back in the penalty area, level with the penalty spot, creating the opportunity. Snapshot from Morris, well fed. Again, it's a midfielder joining in with him in Jordan Clark. So this is what I'm saying. They're all sort of similar in terms of patterns, but they're different in terms of trying to defend against them. It becomes really, really difficult from a defensive point of view. And I think when you look at Luton, I think as an opposition, you're sort of saying, well, they can create a little bit of, they can do a bit of everything. They can go, as we said about last time we spoke, they can go long. They can play through the back. They can get you on one side and get it switched out. They can, as I say, then we've kept it short. Then we've got it long. We've got it into another wide area and created a chance. And I think he'd be a little bit disappointed there, Woodrow, that he hasn't done a bit better with that. There's a clip in a moment. I think it might be this one, a 70 or 80 yard pass that finds the toe of a player. We just, again, it's all familiar, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But how you defend against it as an opposition must be difficult to try and decide. I think this is a pass, and it's Drame. Look at that.
Yeah, that ball for Drame was phenomenal. I was right behind that main stand E. It was sublime.
Yeah,
just to see the movement on the ball, it was incredible.
Yeah, and as you see there, that the point I'm trying to make is that to be a good championship side or be a playoff championship side, yes, you have to have good individuals, but you have to be unpredictable. You have to be different. You can't just play long. You can't just pass the ball all the time and try. You can't just get it down a size and get cross. You have to be different, and you have to create all different types of chances. And I think, again, we don't want to get too carried away, but do you know why? Why shouldn't we? Where we've come from, what we've created. You look at again, you talk about money and what we've thrown at things and how much we've spent, etc., etc. Let's get a little bit carried away, because we are, for me, on our day, as good a team in the championship. When our best players are at the top of their game, are at the top level. You look at the Millwall game. It was so obvious to see that Carlton Morris wasn't fit. You could see that. He was probably at 70% tops, and we still go on to get the result that we get, and we still managed to drag him through the game, and we've still got the ability to change things when we can. So I just think we're in a real good place. We've got real good options. Luke Berry proves that we've got loads of real good options in and around the squad, and we've obviously got a brilliant team spirit and a brilliant group of individual people in terms of characters and in terms of personalities that helps you get through games at times. You need that. The Millwall game's an example of that. Two goals, one early in the first half, one early in the second half. How easy is that to fold? It's easier to fold, live on Sky. But we don't. We keep going. We get that goal. Then you bring on, Luke Berry and you get the equaliser. It's just, you miss all those chances at home against Swansea, but you get that one chance and he sticks it away. So just in a real good place, 4 points from those six available from the two games, and the train keeps on rolling.
Yeah, it's great to see how everyone is pulling together, because if we were at the other end of the table, I'm certain that Colton Morris wouldn't be inclined to play through injury, but because everyone's pulling together for the greater good, the playoff push, possible promotion to the Premier League, it's all shoulders, no pun intended, because of Colton Morris's shoulder, all shoulders to the wheel right now, trying to push that bus over the line right
absolutely.
now. Yeah, finish above that dotted line if we still use dotted lines. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Thank you very much, Burge, for
No problem. Thank you.
again more insightful analytics. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is Oak Road Hatter. On Facebook and Twitter, we are at Oak Road Hatter. On Instagram, we're Oak Road Hatter Pod. And you can check out our website where we have lots of great articles, and we'll be releasing some information about the accounts that have just been submitted to Company's House. That's www.oakroadhatter.com. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.